I am very excited to reintroduce Corbie Mitleid to all of you. If you haven't listened to her last episode, it was segmented into 5 episodes from 2023, and that already gave you such a great introduction to her. But we get to meet her again, we get to be re-inspired, we get to feel the passion of tarot and the passion of psychic. And sadly, Jessica was a little under the weather for this one, so she doesn't speak up too much, but she has some pretty good questions that I can't wait for you all to hear, especially around AI. But yeah, I'm so excited to reintroduce her to you. And just to remind everyone, every Sunday I send out a blog called This Week in the Sky. And that will be going out this Sunday, and it'll be talking about the Capricorn new moon, where I also pull a tarot card for each zodiac sign. So if you'd like to know about the energies ahead and you'd like to connect more with me, feel free to sign up to my Substack. All right, and now Jessica and I are super excited to re-interview Corbie Mitleid. Okay, Corbie, welcome back to the show.
It's great to be here.
Good. It's great to have you back on. And are you joining us from New Jersey still?
No. Jersey is where I grew up. I am still, Yes, I am still where I was 2 years ago, which is a tiny house in the middle of a 12-acre hayfield, the tip of the northern Catskills in New York. My neighbors are sheep.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And how's the weather right now? Is it as cold? It's cold, right? Because we're freezing down here.
No, seriously, what we're doing now is it's been very cold for like 6 weeks, but we're going to have 2 or 3 days of warm up. Friday, it's going to be like 50 for 32 and a half minutes. And then we've got this wicked cold front coming through. Rain turns to snow and wind and black ice and Merry Christmas 2 days later, but we'll be fine. We New Yorkers with us.
Oh my God, exactly. Blessings all around. Nature's blessings.
You betcha.
Right? I just listened to our episode and I thought it was so cool to hear how much we covered. And we talked about your journey to becoming a professional psychic, traveling all over the country to different psychic fairs. And we got to hear your straightforward conversation style, which is very refreshing. And this time, I have a lot of questions about the human experience of psychic seeking, of how we all want to find maybe a spiritual connection with something greater and why we seek out psychics to do that. And you have readings on your site that not many psychics offer. There's not like soul plan, things like that. Yeah, like you have a lot of psychic ability and terrain that a lot of psychics don't go to. So I think you're the perfect person to kind of help connect this bridge for spiritual seekers from the earth plane to the spiritual plane. And so I have an initial question to start. And I know we have a lot of other things that we're going to cover beyond this, but I wanted to start here because I just wanted to set the tone of this interview as opposed to the last one. So my first question is about the modern seeker and what you see about us modern seekers as opposed to when you were growing up in the 70s and 80s and what you all were looking for.
Well, actually, I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, darling. I'm 70. So, I'm one of them old people. But then it was still Sybil Leek and mystery and all of that. These days, you're going to have an astrology column in Vogue. But the thing is, there is let's say an underbelly, but not yuck. There are the ones who are serious about it, and they're not going to be what I call cosmic muffins. What am I doing this week? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't go to the library. I don't have my bracelet that's got all the crystals that'll help me read. No. Can I vomit now? No, that's not how it works. The modern seekers, what I'm hoping is they're learning to avoid what I call the Madam Hoo-Ha's and the Swami Swalandas and go with the, if you will, quieter teachers that don't have the ego involved. That's the huge thing. So
I love that. So does that indicate, or does that like reference a similar need to when you were growing up? Do you think that both these seekers are kind of looking for that transformation of and personal growth?
We didn't know from Shinola when we were doing this. We had no real background, because we were still digging it up. I mean, the book that taught me that I wanted to find the magic was a children's book called The Witch Family by Eleanor Estes. And, it's little girls in a witch school with pointed hats. These days, Harry Potter. These days, Charmed. These days, there's so much more than we had. If I see one more cable show about kids going to a magical school, it's the 2020s version of Father Knows Best, practically. It's what's expected. And while it's lovely to think that we're out there, it's also making us a target with what's going on in the country now.
Oh, that's interesting. Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, yeah. How frank can I be?
As frank as you want to be.
2 words: Christian nationalists.
Mm.
Okay. I saw this coming 30 years ago. It's why I set up my life with certain public parameters that keep me safe. It's one of the reasons I'm a reverend. The actual reason for being a reverend, non-denominational, was because before it was the law of the land, I had a lot of friends who batted for the same team. And if they wanted sacred ceremony, I was going to do it. But when I lived south of the Mason-Dixon line, if they saw me with a pack of tarot cards, said, "You doing witchcraft? That's devil worship." And I said, "Oh no, I'm a reverend. This is pastoral counseling." "Oh, Reverend, we are so sorry. God bless." Kept me safe. And it's at this point, at 70, I'm not doing the traveling that I did before. For one thing, shows are tanking because there are too many of them and people don't have the money that they used to. So I'm at home. Last time I probably talked about the fact that the universe sat my butt in my chair at home via a back injury in 2019. So when we had the year of Murder Hornet Bingo and Hold My Beer with COVID, I was already set. And I love that. I'll do 1 or 2 local shows, 1-day shows, but I cannot travel the way I used to. Costs are too expensive. And like I say, the shows just are not pulling in people.
What have you been doing in the past 2 years then with New Modern Spiritual Seekers?
Well, I was paddling in a leaky boat. I mean, I'm good. I've been reading since 73. You see how many different readings I have. I am not your typical, but it was still difficult. And friends had been hocking a chinik with me. That's Yiddish. It means banging on a tea kettle, a lot of noise, about TikTok. I did not want to go on TikTok. I did not like what I saw because it was either Love and Light or Bullwinkle the Moose. Now, for those of you who don't know Bullwinkle the Moose who are listening, the old Rocky and Bullwinkle show, at one point, Bullwinkle would put on a big Swami's hat and he'd have a little top hat on a table and he would say, "Eeny, meeny, chili, beany, the spirits are about to speak." And he'd pull out a rhinoceros hat. Oops, wrong one. But that's what it was. And I said, I can't go on TikTok until I figure out how to stand out. Which is why I kind of rebranded myself last December as the No Bullshit Psychic. When I go on there, no makeup, t-shirt. This is it. You see the background of my house. Luckily, it's on a phone, so I don't have to clean up a whole bunch of it. And I'm very straight with people. I read. I do a weekly reading that uses 7 different decks, 1 card from each deck. And it's not just reading the cards, but it's putting it in the context of how to move forward in the world now A lot of it is how to deal with the shadow stuff that we're dealing with now. And within months, I had thousands of followers. I'm up to about 22,000 in a year. Me, this 70-year-old lady with no big fancy. Also, I used to teach on the road. Don't really do that anymore. But I found Patreon. And the way I structure my Patreon, I call them my nestlings. We have Team Raven, and that's my masterclass. They've been with me since, 2021. Team Crow are my rookies, and now I have Team Robin for when we have the overview. Because I keep my classes very small. No more than 12. Because they have to become tribe these days. Example with Team Raven. There's one person who last year found that their 5-year-old was on the spectrum. Somebody else in class had a child on the spectrum who had just graduated college. Immediate bonding, immediate help. Somebody in class who had never been to Buffalo had a meeting in Buffalo. She met 2 of the nestlings from Team Raven there. She'd only see them on camera. Then they went out to dinner. That's the kind of tribe that I want. It's a once a month. It's 90 minutes. Yes, I teach, but I also bring in other good teachers I know. That's part of the avoid the ego thing that we mentioned right off the bat. I do not want my students to think my aura don't stink. I can't stand that. Because that colors how they see me and how they listen to what I teach. I remind them, I'm an elder. It is my responsibility to throw you as much information as I possibly can before I kick the bucket, have to switch my sign to spirit guide, but keep the office. And they appreciate that. People, just examples. I've got 3 people coming in. I'm doing 2 classes in January, 1 in February. First one is fabulous astrologer, Pat Dumas, on astrology and the mythology of the sun. Second one is my favorite animal communicator, Catherine Knock from the UK, who's going to work with the kids and show them that, yes, you can talk to animals too. And in February, I have the fabulous witch and author Katrina Rasbold, who's going to talk to them about uncrossing, about hexes and blah, 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 all the things. I don't know any of that stuff. But why should I keep them from learning it? Find the good teachers. Me, I teach them how to read tarot cards, oracle cards, teach them about past lives, mediumship, visualizations. They can get a lot of stuff from me, but not all of it. But I want them to have a taste of everything. And I learn a lot, and they feel safe with me. So those are the 2 places I'm putting all of my energy these days. Do I still do one-on-one readings? Of course. But being able to reach, literally, I've got people from the western area of Canada. I've got people from Britain and Ireland, and I've got my locals. But we can get together. It's not that expensive. It's not like hotels and, all of that.
Yeah, so it's a community. It's being able to allow people to understand this, learn this, develop this in a safe place with safe people, that they can take and leave certain ideas and mythologies and philosophies, but get this sort of nutrient that they're looking for, which is these conversations that go beyond our earthly understanding of things and to sort of the continuity process beyond life.
And they are tried. In this crazy world, you've got to have people you trust, and the classmates trust each other.
I love that. I want to talk a little bit more about the individual who comes to you for a one-on-one reading really quick, because I think it's really a lot of people who are listening obviously seek out a psychic. Otherwise, they wouldn't be listening to this podcast. But I think that a lot of people also don't know why they want to seek out a psychic. I mean, some people definitely do. I'm sure one of your main questions is about love.
Does Bruce love me? Yes. 95%. Look, one of the things I do is there is a very reputable phone line, Best Psychics Directory. It's run by Bubbles, and it's the only one that I work with. And I guarantee you, if someone calls me, that's the first out of their mouth.
Well, okay, it might be going a little too wide, but I'm curious with AI being on the scene, what are your thoughts on AI versus a human looking at the cards? Because, it is one human seeking, but if they're looking into the AI looking glass versus coming to you, like, what are your thoughts on that?
AI has no soul. AI has no compassion.
So true.
AI has not lived what the clients have lived. I have had 3 bouts of breast cancer, 2 divorces, the death of my parents, poverty, abuse, and bankruptcy. Because of that, my compassion, my understanding of humanity, and my ability to listen with both ears and my whole heart has been deeply carved. Sometimes I will get something from the corner of left field and Space Cadet that is normally not the meaning of the card, but it's correct. Favorite story. There was a couple that came to me when I was in Canada, and the card I pulled was the 3 of Pentacles. Normally, the Rider-Waite deck, it shows somebody working on a stained glass window in a church, talks about mastery, long-term, blah, blah, blah. But I looked at that, and what came out of the mouth was, I have no idea why I'm saying this, but there is a deconsecrated or abandoned church within 2 miles of here, and I think you're supposed to open up a cafe bakery. And they look at each other, they look at me, they say, oh yeah, we know which one. We've been arguing for 2 years. AI is not going to be able to do that. People say, well, what can you do? When I'm at a show or a one-on-one reading, I say, look, generally it's 4 things. Does Bruce love me? The everyday tour bus, house, car, job, kids, finances. Okay, got you, put me here. Now what? Past lives. Why do I love Victorian China? Why am I afraid of oatmeal? And I'm Scots-Irish. What's this thing about Peru? I want to speak to my spirit guide, Binky, or how's dead Aunt Mabel? There's no way AI can handle that. That's humanity.
AI also, a lot of times, is free. So if you can communicate with something free, you're likely going to go for that over communicating with somebody you have to pay, because that means that you actually have to care about what happens after this. So if I'm just talking to AI, it doesn't matter what AI says to me. I can take it, I can leave it, I can run with it, I can tell everybody else, I can keep it to myself. But there's no value in it if you haven't also stepped into that room saying, okay, you might not tell me what I want to hear. You may give me information that I am exploded by. You may confront me with something that I don't really want to see as a pattern. AI can't do that because it needs you to know that pattern. It needs you to know those things. Yeah, because it's going to loop it back to you.
You've got a life encyclopedia like this, and I'm fast, baby. But if I go from A to L, and what you really wanted to know was down to your Q, she's gone, oh, she didn't know anything. She didn't tell me anything. Which is why when you sit down with me, I'll say, what's the most important thing you want to get out of here knowing today? And if you go blank on me, I'll go Brooklyn on you and go, darling, what's biting your butt? Boom, shields come down and people tell me. But frankly, this is one of the reasons that I do lives twice a week on TikTok. I do free reading hour on Thursday night, and in an hour I can read about 30 people, fast, but do it. But Wednesday is Cafe Corbie. That's not a reading hour. It's a teaching hour. It's like we're all sitting around at the pub with a drink, and people ask me questions about metaphysics, spirituality, psychic work. And the way I tell them how to figure it is, if you ask me a question and your answer is going to be interesting to everybody, that's correct for Cafe Corbie. If nobody's going to care about your answer but you, that's Thursday night. Hold the question. And again, that's not something that AI can do.
Yeah. And getting back to the experience that someone is going to have, the fact that you even tell them to voice their problem is, or what's biting their butt, is pushing them to verbalize what they need.
Yeah.
And even that alone is scary for people. People have such a fear of confronting whatever it is that they're even seeing the psychic about. So that's what I think this interview is so special to talk to you personally about, because you do get straight to the point. You expect that person to have come to you knowing they have an issue or knowing they have a problem that they want to talk to you about, and that requires courage on their end, and also a huge amount of trust for the person that they're talking to. So when you have people come to you like that and they open and they become more vulnerable, when you're conducting a reading, do you just answer their question? Do you just give them that dose, or do you also kind of guide them towards something as well?
Oh, I guide them. For instance, let's take the ubiquitous "If Bruce Loves Me." 5 cards. You, Bruce, the relationship, what you need to know, and best possible outcome. If I tell you that and you go, I still don't know what to do, then it's the 3-3. 3 cards for status quo, you kind of bumble along. 3 cards for the come to Jesus meeting and you do serious counseling. 3 cards for hostile bye-bye, it's been nice, but I'm out of here. Now, this is where free will comes in. I may leave with the blinking Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice sign, but I zip it. If you say, I guess I can still work on it, that's your choice. The only reason that I would step in otherwise is if you tell me you were abused, gaslit, something like that. Then the reader's turban comes off, the reverend collar goes on, and we talk about how to leave because you're in danger. But I also tell people, don't ask yes or no questions, because if I say no, where are you going to go? So if someone says, I'm opening up a broadcasting studio, is it going to be successful? I'd say, wrong question. Because what if I say no? Ask how. And that's when, and Jess, you're going to want to learn this. That's when the multiple cards come in. It's not 3 cards and fire the second redhead. What? It's a card for you, a card for the energy around the business, the brick and mortar location, how to market it, clients, competition, staff, finances, what you need to know, and best possible outcome. You now have a rocket pack on your back, and you can see the pitfalls and you can see the advantages. But again, it's your free will that's going to make it rock and roll. AI doesn't know to do that because AI doesn't care.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's funny. I think it's funny your name is Bruce, because I always say Billy. It's just 2 B words. But it's true. Like, people will come to you with I'm glad that you also would say, like, kind of wrong question. It's a push to make sure that person knows that they're involved in their future.
Mm-hmm.
And when people come to psychics, they have this, I'm sure they have a hope, if not a belief. I would hope it's just a hope that we give them either really great news and also how to get what they want, and this is the fate of the situation. But then they also have to flip that coin of the fate of the situation is it's all going to fall apart. So is it really that I give you some kind of fate, or would you like free will in this? And if that free will is painful, then, that's also a transformation. And a lot of stuff can come out on the other side that's even better than what you could have imagined on this one. But it does mean that it's almost like going to a doctor, in the sense if this pain wouldn't go away. So now you are seeking out somebody or something that is going to address that pain in a much more direct way, and you have to trust that they're capable of doing that. And I think, going back to what you said at the top of this interview, that the modern seeker, or actually, let me pose this as a question. Do you think that the modern seeker expects more free will? Because there's just as much of a generalization of people who go see psychics as there are about psychics in psychics as a whole. We all generalize people who go see psychics as the ones who call about Bruce, or the ones who go for the 5-minute readings, or the ones who can't handle their life as it is, or can't handle change. But do you feel like when people come to you now that they actually want to participate in, like, the outcome of their situation if you guide them like that?
Yes. For one thing, I try to send them my little ebook, Psychic Answers, which is the first 2 chapters of the Psychic Eldrick Road, which shows them how they need to participate, how to figure out the questions they want, be open to the answers, respond to the universe, things like that. So yeah, that is a big part of it. But I'll be honest, having done this for 50 years, professionally for 30, I ain't cheap. So people who just want the cheap answers, they're not going to come to me. Most people who come to me know the drill. Even if they're rookies, if they're willing to put that money down They know that they have got to be an active part of the reading. It's a dialogue.
100%. That's exactly why I price myself the way that I do too. It has nothing to do with greed. It has to do with the value of the situation, the vulnerability that brings out of a person. You know, you had to think
Yes.
about that. You might have put $25 a week aside for that. You know, like
Mhm.
it means something to you, and you're ready to have that dialogue instead of just tell me if Bruce is in love with me, and if he's not, I'm going to call the next one because I have $4 to talk to the next person and then the next person. You know,
Ah,
so I think that's really important to also remember. Like, I think we talked about this on our last interview too, that rookies and newbies, and I was included in that at the very beginning of my career, but that, oh, you know, we shouldn't be charging too much because people need this every day, all the time. There is not a time that people don't need this. You know what I mean? Like, y'all can just there's YouTube channels of people who can communicate to you. There's all sorts of things. If you need just the conversation in the background, that's one thing. But if you want to
mhm.
talk to someone like Corbie, who's going to get really down into your soul and really look at this question and give you actionable actionable results, or what's this.
This is in my book. You've got the magic who needs a genie. How to charge what you're worth.
Yes,
And in the Psychic Yellow Brick Road, there is a chapter called "Pay Fair to Play Fair." You know,
completely agree, because it just makes both people accountable as well. You know, if you paid me this much, I'm showing up too, like with the whole thing.
and this is how the world works now. When people say, "Well, they didn't used to charge," well, in the old days, you would have brought me a chicken or a cloak or some firewood. Oh, great person here. Thank you very much. And will you answer some questions? You're not going to do that now. And I have a heating bill to pay.
Well, and they didn't pay actors until like the 1930s and 40s. You know,
I
like
know.
it's all a trend. It's a fad. You know, they're paying astrologers an insane amount of money because I think my personal belief about the modern seeker is that they wrap up all of their spiritual inquiry into astrology. And then they're missing out on so many incredible modalities that can get to their answer not only faster, but like more accurate, more
Mhm.
actionable. And that's why I love what you offer. Like, I want to talk about Soul Plan because that's one that I think is very unique to you. Maybe a couple of other people do
Not
it,
as
but
much as it used to be.
yeah, because I have seen it. But like, you would be, I would say, one of the original developers of this kind of idea that we can look more deeply at the realities of our karma and the realities of what we've signed
Mhm.
on to, and how that can help. I don't know about orient, because I guess it's all about the orientation in general, but like more so get through maybe boundaries in a more graceful way, or accepting things. Is that kind of what Soul Plan is about?
I use the word soul plan reading because I was one of the two intuitives that Robert Schwartz used 25 years ago when he first started writing his first three books. The two that still do it now are myself and my ride or die, Stacey Wells. But we're very different in how we do it. Um, Stacey does the very high level vibe stuff. She is like your brilliant technical surgeon. I'm your priest, inspirer, storyteller, working with the rookies, helping people understand about things. Like last night, um, I worked with a woman who is other. She's a starseed. She wanted to know why her life had, and she had, man, it was, nobody would write that script in Hollywood and have anybody believe it. But what I got her to understand is that she was someone who was so deeply invested in having a deep well of compassion and an understanding of humanity. She's now a psychologist, that she agreed to be put through all of this stuff so she'd have that ability. I said, you're a weeble and a cork. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. And I don't care how deeply you push down a cork, it's going to pop to the top and float. That's what it does. And that's what she did.
I love that you brought this up too, and you touched on it a little bit in the last interview, but it's knowing what you've got, knowing what I think you even called it the draft card, when
the universe hands you your draft card and says you're working for me. Yes.
that exactly. So for her, and in this soul plan perspective, it helped her accept certain.
She stopped. Yeah, her original question was way off the mark. Why is this person mean to me, and why did this person do that? And I said, no, that's not the point. You're wallowing in the pain. You do this perspective. Why did this life full of cruelty and horror happen to give me my brilliance of blah, 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 blah? Yeah, I'm not going to go through all of it because it's privacy, not quite HIPAA, but people have to get out of the victim mentality. They do, or they're not going to fix anything.
So what you just said, I think, encapsulates what I wanted this interview to kind of get to, which is what we're asking for, or what we go to a psychic for, if we can name it, is we have to be prepared that that psychic is going to look at us and say, you're looking at the whole thing wrong. And if we turn it this way and we look at it in this different light, we can start to heal something. And I think that it's taking the generalization of a psychic being just a fortune teller, which there's plenty of fortune telling that can be had if that's what's, needed, or that's how it's asked. But
all the amazing love and light people, like, hi, I'm little dancing raccoon. Let's see what your angels are saying today. Oh, please.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
Right. But the people that connected with you, the 22,000 that connected with you on TikTok, your communities, all that, these are the people who are soaking up the idea that what they're experiencing, the way that they're phrasing it, or how the habit of the conversation is happening in their head, is now being confronted so that they can step into their own power, which I think a lot of psychic healing is to allow you to step in your power where you feel weak, not just where you don't have power, where you feel weak.
But you don't tell them, no, you're wrong, you need to do this. You say, turn it on its head. Let's look at it this way. It's one of the things that I learned at the Option Institute, which is no longer around, but it's the 3 most important questions. What am I X about? X being whatever emotion. Why am I X about that? And you keep digging and digging and digging. And if you say, I don't know, then you respond, if you had to guess, because then people say. And the most important question we never ask ourselves, what do I think would happen if I stopped being X about that? Stimulus, belief, response. That's not wiki-woo. That's psychology. People have to accept that the best intuitive counselors, yes, we use psychology in the reading, not to trick you, not to flip things, but to reach you on a level that you will understand. You've got the vocabulary.
That's actually why I think Jess and I really bond, is through looking at things layer by layer by layer, and having those deeper conversations that allow us to not, like, I don't think microscopic, maybe actually macro, kind of pull ourselves out and look at it with more detachment than the need to feel validated in our own emotion or our choices. And I think that's where maybe that modern spiritual seeker, even if they're, a lot of it's being monopolized by astrology right now, is at least seeking, is if I'm in pain, then maybe there is something that I can do or am doing that can change that pain, transform that pain. And if you get to that place, that's that ego, letting go of that ego that you were talking about. It's like the ego is just literally saying I, right? Like me, this is who I am. And you may not even recognize how many times you identify yourself all day long and hold on to resentment or frustration or traumas that don't want to be held on to, but you don't know how to identify yourself outside of that in a safe way and in a way that you can be held as it's happening, which a lot of times is spirituality in general. And the communities like what you created.
Yes. It has to be. If you are not willing to look at yourself clearly, no change will stick.
Yeah, because that is the pain of it is what. So when I was tackling my issue with anger, and I had plenty of reasons to hold on to it. I had plenty of reasons to feel the way that I felt, but it wasn't helping me at all. It wasn't making me feel like I was embodied or that I understood myself or knew myself. And I remember there was this moment, and I think this is kind of what you're talking about, where I had to think about if angry is who I wanted to be, if angry is who I am, the core of me. But there was a long time that I had to double down on my anger because I had a right to be angry. And because at the time it was an identifier of myself, anytime that I would think, well, should I be this angry? Should I feel this way? It would bring up all of these feelings of all of the times that I might have overreacted before, and that all of these other times I'm just this bad person who overreacts. And I had to get to a place in myself where I could feel both angry and also recognize that my anger may not be what's appropriate right now, or it may not be the right, well, right or wrong, the real emotion happening. It may be a knee-jerk reaction, and that it's okay if I step away and I compose myself and I really think about it and I ask myself, do I have full approval from my body that I'm angry? Or do I have approval from my body to calm down? And then a lot more often did I get approval to calm down than to stay angry?
What I'm hearing is you're allowing yourself to be human and raw. The people who say, no, it has to be love and light, and you take your anger and make it, no, that's spiritual bypassing. And that kind of is one of the reasons why the love and lighters were really toxic with the political situation in America. They kept saying, oh no, there's a reason that 47 is here. There's a nice, Now, do I think there? Yes, there is. Because America will never, see, this soul comes in at the ending of things on the losing side. Don't know why. Wars of the Roses, Yorkist versus Lancaster. Lancaster won. I was a Yorkist. I died on the field. Shaman and warrior, when we were all being shoved onto the res. Nothing I could do but try and get my people there safe, but we lost. World War I, German pilot. And now here, notice this time I'm female. I'm not a warrior, but things are collapsing because I need to be here to teach. America will never be what it was. Dead, gone like Atlantis and the Wizard of Oz. Sorry, Ariana and Cynthia. America will come back chastened, humbled, different. I'll be like Moses on the mountain. I'll see glimmers of it, but I will not live to see the whole thing. But this is what happens. If you look at astrology, Pluto returned for the U.S. These things happen. If you look at history, every century has a big dude country. 18th century was France. 19th century was Britain. We were 20th. 21st probably going to be China. It's the way of the world. So to say that, no, everything in America is really good and we'll be back to the way we were. No, we won't. Get a clue. It's like the, Jess, you'll love this, the tower card that everybody sees. It is not doom, gloom, and destruction. I call it the imploding sports stadium. Red Sox want to build a new stadium, they got to blow up Fenway first and clear the ground. That's where we are. Because if you get people out of the doom, gloom, pity party and realize this is what happens, everything grows, changes, dies, and then is reborn, they're less scared of that card. That's part of the allegory that AI can't give you. Doesn't know.
You reminded me with mentioning tower. What is it not what does it mean, but for lack of a better phrase, what does it mean when you keep pulling the same card for weeks, maybe months on end, like no matter how many times I shuffle?
It means that your guides are saying, darling, how long is it going to take until dawn breaks over Marblehead? The other thing, though, is you really have to make sure that you are at neutral core. Look, I'm human. There are times when I'm really worried about a situation and I keep picking. Like I'm going to England in June for 2 weeks. I'm going to be 71. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to just do that, either financially or physical strength, whatever. And I'm worried about it, so I've been picking negative cards. So I've stopped. It'll be fine if I let it be fine.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So that's one thing that I will tell you, certified tarot master to rookie. Make sure that you are at emotional neutral. Otherwise, put the cards away. Or pull from your oracle decks.
Yes, pull from the oracle decks, because they always got something nice to say to you.
No, not necessarily, but they will talk differently to you.
Yeah. And on that note, actually, about like that spiritual seeking of the person who wants to read their own tarot and the person who wants to understand maybe something specific, or maybe, just, oh, give me a message in the day. Most people don't want to put down their tarot deck. Like, that's the way that it is. But if we can do a reframe of, then this is what you should ask it. Because personally, I get it. It's a hit of dopamine, so it's not, if you put it around Bruce, it's a hit of dopamine. But if you center it around, say, what's something I should notice in the day, or what's a message from spirit today, and there's still, cards that are going to make you feel a little icky about it, like the 5 of Cups isn't great, and the 10 of Swords isn't great to see, but you have to frame it in a way where you can find that, I don't know about positive outcome as much as like a reflective,
useful.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you're going to do it, to keep yourself neutral, you have to ask a neutral question, because otherwise your emotions are going to get kicked up no matter what.
Yeah. But, I teach a class, and this one I do have to teach in person. It's called Deck-A-Dance, and it's how to work with oracle cards. There are a million courses on tarot. People don't teach oracle cards. And people come in, everyone brings a deck. And I partner them off, and they read for each other. And I make them switch decks. You have to read with their deck, and the answers are still right. And they're blown away. And then the last part of the class, I just let people ask me questions. And I'll pull this deck or this deck or this deck or this deck, or 2 at once. For instance, on the Bruce questions, I use 2 decks. I use the standard tarot deck, but this one is by John Gray, Mr. Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And so I'll pull 5 cards, practical information, but this deck is about karma and relationships. 5 cards. Why you came into the relationship, why he came into the relationship, why you decided in your pre-birth planning session, let's try this, current karma, probable final karma. You can't do that with just one deck. You need the layering. So that's why I tell people, it's not disloyal to your tarot deck to get an oracle deck. It's not.
It's not. And on top of that, you're absolutely right. Because I use cartomancy, or I work with cartomancy and Lenormand as well. And
I'm just playing with that. It's spooky.
It isn't it? I know it can get super freaking accurate.
Yeah, and they were not helpful on the England thing, which is why I was like,
oh, exactly. No, yeah, no. Like those are like kitchen witch like cards where it's like, oh, this literally is what's going to happen.
If I see the fox come up one more time, damn.
Oh no. Well, the foxes sometimes work, but you're right. When people ask me certain questions, I was so loyal to tarot for so long that I was like, this is actually way too much information for what you're asking me. Like, you're asking me, is my business going to go well or not? I mean, I can quickly figure that out with cartomancy. And if it say that goes well, then I'll be able to go in it with tarot and find out the behaviors and like the larger story. But if it doesn't go well, then maybe we don't, what do we want to go into the larger story of how it tanks, but it gives a bit more flexibility.
Or how to change that.
Or how to maneuver it. Yeah, but it's just a ton of information.
You know this book?
Yep, Power Tarot.
Get this, girlfriend.
It's a great book. It's a good book.
It's tarot, but it has 100 different spreads in the back that you can use.
Ooh, that cool.
Yeah, spreads are the key. Like, if there's any, like, what I wish people would talk about more is spreads. Power Tarot
by Trish McGregor and Phyllis Vega.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I'm going to link it to this podcast episode too, so if other people want to check it out.
The other good one for rookies is still Tarot for Yourself by Mary Greer.
Oh, yeah, Mary Greer is just an icon. Yeah.
She's a tarot grandmaster. She's like, we're not worthy.
Yeah, totally. But also what you said, though, and about tarot and about, the seeker itself, for somebody to buy a deck, I don't know about you, but it's either one of two things. It's usually, it starts out spiritual. It starts out with like, I want to know myself. I want to like talk to spirit. And then it does descend into fortune telling. So it's like, okay, what's going to happen with me and this person, or what's going to happen with me in this job, or what's going to happen with, and you don't know it well enough to really rely on what you're even picking up, that you're just driving yourself crazy over like.
That is why Oracle decks are so important. Take a look at this one. This is the Fairies Oracle by Jessa McDatt and Brian Froud. When I picked that up, the first thing it taught me is a 7-card spread that Jessa herself uses. And it's your challenge, the mask and shadow, what you overuse, the offering, because the fairies always want something, and what they give you instead. The next card is I just channel from the fairies what they want to ask you, and you don't answer it now. Yeah, it's homework. You go, you journal, you dream, you think. The next card is the fairy that will help you find the answers to that. And the last card is what will mark your passage in the world to tell you you've mastered the challenge. That is truth-telling as opposed to good or bad.
Thank you. Exactly. Truth-telling, and it actually forces you to, not forces, I guess, but puts you in a lane. Instead of, oh, I'm using tarot for spiritual, but then I'm going to actually like ask all these other questions that I don't really know how to answer. So you actually, if you really are looking for spirituality, then this one feeds you spirituality. If you really are looking for a question about you and a significant other, then get an oracle deck that talks about that. Like, be honest about what it is that you want to talk about, and then you'll get the answer a lot better than if you kind of like secretly are sort of trying to make it do something you don't know how to get it to do.
Ask the deck. I never read the book first. Now, here's one, for instance. The Osho Zen technically is a tarot deck. I don't use it like that. I call it my philosophy deck. And if somebody says, what's going to happen in this situation? I'll say, okay, 3 cards. First one, the Fool. Remember, the Fool is not the stupid person, but the exuberant rookie. So you got to walk into this with joy and excitement. Second card, adventure. No fear. It's just got to be an adventure for you. And the third card, existence. Be in the moment with it. Don't try to overplan it. Don't try to argue with it. Just be there. See, I did not look at whatever tarot place he said. It doesn't matter. It's the picture. It's what the words say. So that's the other thing. Don't be a slave to what the deck is supposed to be if it talks to you differently. This is what is probably going to be on my tombstone. I'm not special. You can do what I do. We're all wired like the same house plan. And that again goes right back to the ego cannot be in the way if you want to be a good reader, because when your ego is in the way, you will start thinking about yourself first and not your client. You are here in service to the universe. You are the tool that Creator uses. The hammer does not run around on the back deck going, look at that track. Wasn't I wonderful? No, the hammer got its head hit against a nail. Someone else held the hammer. We're the hammer. We're what it comes to. It ain't us.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. It's important to remember that we are conduits, and we also have to respect our own boundaries and needs, as well as giving others what is ethical and what we have developed ourselves to do. Because you're right. Anybody, if you have a desire to do it, you can do it. It takes a lot more time than Hollywood likes to tell you it takes, and you can develop slowly.
Yeah, we've got 10 fingers. Everyone can play chopsticks. Some
Yep.
people love music and they study it and they practice, and 1 in 100 million is Elton John.
Exactly. So don't let any kind of perfectionism or any kind of ego, like we've been saying, hold you back from what it is that your soul might be calling out to. And it may be calling out to community, like what you were saying earlier. It may be calling out to just having this be a part of your life, similar to a ritual of your life or your routines. I think that we don't give spirituality enough credit for being like oxygen. It's just there whether you tap into it or not. It's something that we all talk to in some way, shape, or form, even if we don't call it talking to spirit. Even if we say hope in our head, we're talking about something ephemeral.
Yeah.
So if you want to put 1 foot actually in it, then joining a community or reading one of the books that you're talking about, or getting an oracle deck over a tarot deck and trying to get yourself to think outside of the ways that I think we all habitually go into when we think about psychic or when we think about tarot, and really give ourselves a chance just to connect to spirit first before we're kind of demanding the answers. What's it? Is that one of yours? Oh, yeah, the Yellow Brick Road.
Psychic Yellow Brick, yes. How to find the real wizards and avoid the flying monkeys. Because if I can keep you safe, if you're just learning how to go to see an intuitive, I don't care if you never come to see me. I did my job.
Absolutely. And I feel very honored that you felt safe enough to come on to this podcast with me for the second time. So I really appreciate it. And you know what? There could be a third. Who knows?
You ask questions of depth and resilience and things that are useful. You do not ask me the typical 11 questions that I always get. So this was probably one of the most fun podcasts I've ever gotten to do.
That means the world to me. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
You're welcome.
I hope we work together in the future in more ways, because you really are, I haven't been able to meet you before, but I consider you a mentor in a lot of ways. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. Well, go find me on TikTok. Go look for the No Bullshit Psychic.
Hell yeah, I will.
Would love it. Would love it.
I am so glad Jess's Power came back on so she could be here for this.
Right on time.
Awesome. So excited. Thank you.
You are welcome. So listen, have a delicious holiday, and let's do something in 26, shall we?
Please. Absolutely.
You got it.
Thank you, Corbie.
Be well, be safe.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I am looking forward to the next episode, and I hope you are too. And as always, as above, so below, blessed be.